either side, if you're brave enough. So if not, if you take a right when you exit this room, up the stairs to your right, there's another exit. Gives you a bit more privacy.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. We'll get started. Hello. Hi. 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 Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm managing 2 Zooms, so okay. We're gonna get started. My name's Christina Noto. I'm the president of WWPNA. It's so nice to see so many of you here. I hope you come to more meetings. We have, for those of you who haven't seen it, we have a sign-in sheet over there, and then we also have a agenda over there, as well as a QR code for the agenda, if you would like that digitally. So just a few things. We have a bit of a packed agenda today, so I'm going to be pretty strict with time. So sorry we're starting 6 minutes late. But we're going to do some introductions. We have a presentation from Caitlin Braun at the Broadway JID. We have some District 7 updates. We have a presentation from Unlocking Housing Choices, and then we have a presentation about ranked choice voting, and then we will move into our election around 8-ish. So it is tight agenda today. So in terms of our known absences, Lisa's absent, and I have her proxy, and then Jonathan also told me he'd be absent, and I have his proxy. Other than the election, we're not going to be voting on any business today, so it's not super relevant. And because our election is going to go for a period of time, I will not be voting for Jonathan on behalf of Jonathan or on behalf of Lisa, but I have their proxy tonight. This meeting is recorded like all of our meetings. I'm in the process of posting them all to YouTube. This one will be posted right away to YouTube so people can hear the candidate statements. So just really quickly to go over our meeting norms. They are assume positive intent, raise your hand if you haven't spoken on a topic yet. Those who haven't spoken will get priority. Remain open-minded, avoid judging ideas prematurely, listen to understand, be respectful, avoid side conversations. That's especially important because we have a big room here. And I don't really want to have to tell you to be quiet. And avoid interrupting others, and then be mindful of the agenda and time. I'm going to be strict about that, so I'm really sorry ahead of time. Just really quickly, WWPNA's mission, since some people are new, is, and I guess I could read it, is to promote the health, safety, and welfare of WWPNA residents, the WWPNA neighborhood, provide representation before governmental and public bodies and officials, take public positions on issues affecting residents and owners of real property of the WWPNA neighborhood, and in general, to preserve and enhance the WWPNA neighborhood in accordance with the most recent West Wash Park neighborhood plan adopted by the City and County of Denver, and any amendments thereto, except where it conflicts with Blueprint Denver 2019 or any more recent neighborhood or comprehensive plans adopted by the City of Denver. This will, I guess, need to change when our neighborhood plan comes out, hopefully soon. So we're going to do some introductions. First, we'll start with the board, and then we're going to try something new for community introductions. So my name is Christina. I'm president. I'm also the chair of membership and communications and nominations committee. So if you want to get involved, you can take some of my jobs. So I'm just going to pass it around. If board members can just, oh, and I live at 22 North Sherman, so I'm on the Spear side of things. I'm at Spear and Ellsworth, or sorry, Sherman and Ellsworth. And so if we just want to go around, do your name, where you live, and the position you hold. We'll just start with.
Hi, I'm Marlene Vasquez. I'm the secretary, and I live on South Grant between Cedar and Maple.
I'm Linda Fabrizio. I live in the 500 South Sherman block, and I am on the zoning committee.
I'll go next. Penny versus Bill Fenton. I think that there's a Clarkson crowd that go for the past year, which will be here relates to the other.
I'm Thomas DeFaro on the zoning committee and outdoor building.
Todd Lubas, Pearl and Theater. 4 years on the board and 2 years as vice president.
Awesome. Oh, sorry, Robbie.
I'm for 500 block of Clarkson.
Awesome. So we're gonna try something a little different. I'd love to be able to go around and have everybody introduce themselves, but just in the sake of time, we can't. So I'm gonna give everybody like 3 minutes, and just turn and talk to your neighbor. Share your name, where you live, why you're involved in WWPNA. Because you have 3 minutes, you can chat about other things. But take a moment to chat with your neighbor or the people around you. Like I was raised Catholic, so it's like communion. Awesome. So I'll give you like 3 minutes. Chat.
David. Yeah, but it used to be on. Yeah, I actually, it's basically a donation. Yeah. Ready you are.
I'm sorry to start off the conversation. I know I'm timing, I'm sorry. Thank you so much. I love feedback, so if that's something you like, feel free to, give me a thumbs up or send me an email. I'd be happy to do something like this in the future, always open to suggestions. And then my apologies, Catherine, one of our board members, is on Zoom and I missed her hand. So Catherine, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Catherine Fontaine and board member and chair of the zoning committee. I've been a board member, I think, for 3 years. I live on the 1000 block of South Pearl, so by Pub on Pearl and I-25 and Logan, sort of southern corner-ish of the neighborhood. So yeah, and I'm running for re-election.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Catherine. I'm sorry about that. Great. So now we have 4 guest speakers tonight. So we're going to start off with Caitlin Braun from the Broadway General Improvement District for the JIP.
I don't really know where to stand, but I will stand up here.
I can also move out of.
No, you're so good. You're good over there. You can just around me. So, I've met some of you, some look familiar, some not, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you guys. I just was saying to Gertie that it's really, really cool that there's so many active RNOs that intersect with what we're doing. So I'm happy to have your support and at least your interest in what we're doing. So the improvement district right now is getting up and running. Last time I kind of spoke to everything that we're going to provide, but there's kind of a list of services that we're going to do. The main thing we're focusing on is clean and safe. The local maintenance districts that were pieced together across some parts of Broadway have been dissolved, and we're taking over those services and expanding them. So we will go all the way from 6 to 25 now, and we will clean into the alleys, and we will also cover the west side of Lincoln Street, which is probably where a couple of you live, which is, I think, gonna be a great benefit to you all as well. And then we will cover the bus stops on the east side too, which are a little dicey at times. So if you are at zero, stay tuned because we will clean them up for you. Then we will also have safety, which is people who will be trained to kind of interface with their businesses, our residents, our unhoused population. They will have patrols 24/7 to start. And so they will be either walking or on bike, or we have this really cool gem car. If you've been walking around at 3rd and Broadway lately, or may have seen it. And we'll use that to kind of zip from one end to the other quickly, give people escorts. If you're a bartender and you close up alone at 3 a.m. and you park 6 blocks away, you can give us a call, we'll give you a ride, things to that nature. They'll also be trained in all of, I call them the acronym organizations, but what is the proper kind of person to call in a situation. We'll have a hotline. So oftentimes there's things you're like, it's really like a 911 thing, but it's disrupting business or it's disrupting the neighborhood and someone needs help, but I don't know what to do. And you call 311 and it takes 6 hours. So what you can do is call the JED and they can come and figure out what the best course of action is. And you can go back to either your day or your job or doing whatever you need to do, and they are on shift. So if it is a DPD thing or a 311 thing, they can actually sit there for the 8 hours it takes to get that to happen. And then we also will take over kind of the marketing and stuff on the street. So the Halloween parade will come under our umbrella. The Halloween bar crawl that we launched last year, that'll be under our umbrella, and then we'll expand marketing services to that extent too. And then we'll also just kind of be a voice and an arm to interface with our local government and just kind of give a voice to the corridor as well in a more official capacity. I don't know if you want to hit the next slide for me. So this is kind of the timeline of what we've been rolling out. It passed on the ballot last November, and a lot of people have been asking me like, oh, like what's going on to pass on the ballot? And the main thing I will say is we needed money to do stuff. So it passed on the ballot in November, and then we had to get our funding. So we've really gotten, and we haven't gotten it all yet because some people don't pay taxes on time, I guess. But we got it, the majority of it. And so now I could come on board in an official capacity as the executive director. We've hired the clean and safe team. They have been doing interviews like crazy, and we've gotten everyone hired who's going to be working in our district. Some are started onboarding today, which is really cool. Some have already been out on the street that actually the ballpark district helped us hiring early so we could hit the ground running. And some are still going through background and stuff like that. But we will in May kind of have everyone here and onboarded and working on the street full time. So things will really, you'll in the next, I would say starting tomorrow, you'll start to see a difference in staffing on the street. And then in May, you'll really notice things ramping up, which I think will be really cool. So by mid-May, you should see the 24/7 kind of situation on the street. And then also, Thomas, I brought this for you. We did not have our interim uniforms last time I was here. We are still working on what our final brand and look is going to be, but for the interim, this is what you'll see. I don't need to. So in the meantime, you'll see people out working in this on our street. So you'll know these are our team. And it says something soon. And then also, you guys can take one of these and pass them around. We're working on what our crew is going to be called. So on here's a little QR that you can vote what we're going to call them, whether it's like ambassadors, crew, I forget what all the choices are, but we really want to get community input. So please vote. We already have 100 votes, which I think is really good. So yeah, until we get our final brand figured out, this is it. So these are our folks. I don't know how much time I have, but I wanted to leave time.
We still have 10 minutes.
Okay, good. Last time we talked a lot, I talked a lot this time, but I want to make sure I leave time for questions because I know people didn't get to ask all the questions last time, so.
Also, the only thing for questions is after someone asks it, if you could just repeat it so people can hear it on.
Got it.
What's the phone number for the GID that we call?
So right now, we don't have the phone number up and running because people are still training, but you can email broadwayjid@gmail.com and I will put you on a list so that when the phone number becomes available, I will give it to you. Be sure to get it.
At Gmail?
Yeah. Anyone else have a question?
And we'll send it out in an email when it's live.
Yeah, and it'll be really available. We'll have cards like that our ambassadors will carry, that will have it on it, that they'll pass out to the businesses. Our branding will likely have it on it. It'll be widely available, it'll be on social. If it's not a secret, like we want people to call, we want to know where the problems are and where we can go to work on things and fix things. So it'll be, we hope people use it, right? Like, we don't know where the problems are if you don't tell us, so we'll be trolling, but we want you guys to use it.
Yeah, more cards.
They're passing around, and then I did put some over here too, so.
thank you.
Yeah, if you didn't get it, grab one over here, and then this is also on the Broadway Merchants social media, which is, will be transplanted into the JID's social media too. Yeah,
So 2 questions. How is the Broadway Merchants Association going to be interfacing with the JID?
yeah, so the Merchants,
You just repeat that.
sorry, how is the Broadway Merchants Association going to interface with the JID? The Merchants Association is what kind of spearheaded the JID, and now that the JID is formed, it's a little bit redundant. So what we're gonna do is kind of wrap everything that the Merchants Association has been doing into what the JID is doing, and then wind down the Merchants Association. Because we are a JID, which is General Improvement District, and that includes the residents, and not a BID, which would just be the businesses. We don't really want to have just solely business meetings, we want to have community meetings. So the Merchants Association, probably by the end of this year, we have some projects that are ongoing that we need to kind of keep that open for, mostly my Excel work. But beyond that, we will wind that down, and then everything will be under the umbrella of the JID. Did you have a second question?
Yeah, when you are fully staffed and everybody's on the street, what is the minimum number of people that are gonna be out and the maximum number that we can expect?
Yeah, depending on the shifts and like the times of day and the days of the week, it'll be between 1 to 4. And then there also will be people in our office at different times of days too. So I will work out of the same office, which is the old wig shop behind the 7-Eleven at 3rd and Broadway. So that won't be vacant anymore, which has kind of been an eyesore for the past couple of years. We're trying to shine it up. It has mirrored film on the windows, so people don't quite know we're in there yet, but we're working on it, and weird things happen, so people don't know you're in there, and they're just but we're working on it, so if you guys walk by, it might not look like we're in there, but knock on the door and pop in, and we'll show you. Once you get past the front door, it's actually really neat. It's a backyard, and I'll show you our operations and what we're working on, but yeah, so between, I would say, like 1 and 3 plus supervisors at any given time, and there's always a supervisor that's there or on call, and then I'm always on call as well. Anyone else? Verity.
Who are the or do you have any RNO representatives on the board?
Yeah, Morgan, right here. I don't know if you've met Morgan.
Just come closer so they can hear you.
Morgan is on the board of LBCRNO, and then also Beth, the president of Baker, is on our board as well.
No, what no representatives on their board?
No. Ask, I'm just kidding. I will let you guys know when the next board openings are. And then we also have business owners and property owners on our board as well.
And so, you know, I plan to come to the meetings, because I am one of 2 residential votes. So if you ever want to let me know how you think we should vote, I will take that into account.
Are you on the Baker side or the WWP? Where do you live?
Fifth and Broadway. Like on the west side of Broadway, on the west side of, just west of Lincoln. Thank you.
So that's in our,
It's
all-
all
that's- yes,
That's
okay, so
Baker,
that's, so technically, you represent 3 RNOs, so
Yes,
you are a Lutheran rep.
She's an all
Awesome. And then this is Morgan's email, and I know it's a little bit blurry. It's morgan.isaacs@gmail.com if you want to reach out to her.
Does anyone else have a question?
How big is your board? How many meetings?
We have, it's like, there's some ex officio and some voting members. We're waiting for Morgan and Matthew from FM to get officially onboarded. The city kind of cut staff, so we're locking them in, and in the next couple of weeks, but we have the 13, I think it is, once everyone's locked in. We have Matthew from FM, Anna from Waterworks, Luke Johnson from Luke's, Scott from HQ, who am I missing?
Brad.
Floors on it, and we have Brad from Import Mechanic, Brad Rickley from Wizards Chest, we have a Dottie representative, we have Department of Finance representative, so we have stuff kind of all over the map, and, you know, a lot of people that you guys know from longstanding businesses on the street as well, so. Yeah,
Is the gig gonna help out the street trees on Broadway at all? 'Cause a lot of them are in pretty rough shape and need some love.
yeah, I can't tell if like this, some of the trees are just like giving up or what's happening, because while we went in this interim time, you may have seen me like walking up Broadway with a saw, I don't know. Yeah, so all this kind of landscaping stuff, trees and the big empty planters with weird sticks sticking out of them right now are gonna fall under our realm. We're working on getting a partner to work with us on like wholesale pricing. I'm calling around to places and we found a partner who understands that while we are not a like wholesale garden thing, that we are providing a community service and that we need like bulk pricing. So I think I locked somebody in for that. And so we're just waiting on the next move because we want our flowers to match our final vibe. So, and also for it not to maybe snow. So, but yeah, the trees will fall under our realm and we'll work on a plan to fill, first of all, empty tree walls, because especially on the north end, I know there's a freaking ton and some have cement poured in them, which is insane. And then working on the trees too.
Awesome, so we probably have time for one more question.
You wanna tell them about the June?
Oh, yeah, June 18th, we're having a press conference / kickoff or open house. I don't know how we're gonna describe it, but we will send a formal invitation, but save the date. It'll be 4 to 7 at the spot on Third, our office. So you guys will be able to meet the board members. You will be able to meet the ambassadors. We want them to be part of our community. We want you guys to be on a first name basis with them and chat with them when you see them on the street. So I hope you all will be able to come. I'm working on ice cream and guitar entertainment. Our councilwoman will be there to speak, as will be the chief of police. Luke from our board will say a few words. I talk a lot, so I probably will too. And yeah, it'll be really fun, and I hope you all can come because I want to get to chat with you guys individually as well and get to know you and you guys to know the ambassadors especially. So save the date, June 27th.
And we'll be sending out stuff.
Yeah,
as
I'll
well.
pass it to Christina.
That'll be on
If you
our
have
website.
socials, we'll send. If you live in the district, you'll probably get a postcard or an email if I have your email. If you want to get my emails, send them broadwayjade@gmail.com. What was the time? 4 to 7. It'll be press conference first and then kind of whenever that wraps up, probably 30 minutes go into the curtain. And then just so
Awesome, thank you so much.
yeah, thank you.
Awesome, and then Councilwoman Floral Vidres is also here to speak. And we left a bit of time for her to be able to answer questions.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. It's been really exciting to be a part of the formation of the JID. What we met about last week was the branding, and just so you all know, the survey results for We Don't Want to Be Right Now. I'm sure not surprising to anyone here. And I really appreciate how Caitlin has led this process of finding people to do the branding and have these community services, community surveys, so we can really hear from you all on what it's going to look like and how we kind of brand this part of Broadway. So thank you all. Please participate in all of the surveys. I also want to thank Caitlin for her work on the Excel stuff that happened on Broadway. So that's a reminder that the Excel franchise agreement will be coming before council again within the next few months. So has Excel come to talk about that to WWPNA yet? Okay, we need to make sure they get here. Have they reached out at all or no?
No,
Okay,
I can also, I'll follow up with you and.
Yeah, that would be great. And then we're still waiting to hear back on the grant for the pedestrian bridge over where the soccer stadium will go. That's been a priority. And the vibrant bond dollars, there's some projects nearby. I don't know if you all visit the Decker Library, but that's expecting some renovations. And obviously the Broadway on Lincoln is under construction and we're really excited about that, hopefully opening up one of these days. And they did extend that closure because of budget cuts. So I did want to share that in Finance and Governance Committee this week, we got the financial outlook for the city for 2027 and what's actually anticipated to lose revenue in 2027. So revenue for 2025 was about 2 million less than projected after it was adjusted down. And so this budget season is going to be very tough around figuring out what projects we continue to fund and how we meet the needs of the city. One of the things that we're working on with Amy, who I don't see here today, is a potential permanent funding source for safe routes to school funding. That would be a ballot initiative. So stay tuned for, we will bring more information on that. We'll be presenting at Budget and Policy Committee in May for that, but really thinking about how we fund things in the city is concerning. I think the only thing that's saved is inflation, because that means we are getting more revenue, although people are buying less things. And so, you know, that means all of us are struggling to pay for all the things that we need. But just know that the city is in that position too. I did have a meeting in the last month with Colorado Coalition for the Homeless. I know a lot of you worked on the rezoning for that building on Lincoln. And they have not been able to get funding for that housing. And so if you've been wondering why nothing's moving there, they have a concept plan, but they're having a trouble getting that capital stack together. We've inquired with the mayor's office about the vibrant bond housing dollars. Right now, they're saying those are very specific due to the ballot language, but the ballot language did say it was for housing, so we're trying to advocate. There's actually 5 affordable housing projects in District 7 that are lacking funding right now. I do want to add, I have gotten some inquiries and we haven't been briefed on this proposal. If you've seen it in the news about keeping bars open later. And so we can provide more info. I know Broadway merchants will be interested to find out more about that. We haven't seen the draft language or any of that yet. So stay tuned for more on that. And then if you are on social media, you've probably seen about the Asia Center, which is in District 7. That is on Mississippi and Federal. It's a very special place. It's part of the new Little Saigon Business District. One of our main supporters in that area is Father Dang, and we met today and had a press conference to talk about making sure that there's a transparent process around what that looks like in the future. There's an organization called Colorado Asian Pacific United, CAPU, and what they're working on is creating a cultural historic district. So a historic district is like Baker, where they're preserving some of those homes. And so making Alameda to Mississippi on both sides of Federal a cultural historic district wouldn't mean that they can't tear down. It would mean that they would have to include elements that meet the culture of the area. And I will say the ownership group that owns the Asia Center is 100% Asian, and they are committed to working with the tenants and working with community. What they have told me is we don't want to erase the Asian history here. We want to elevate it. And so we're trying to work with them and community to find a happy medium that also honors that area, which is in disrepair. And then on another layer of that conversation is that there will be bus rapid transit on Federal. And that specific area in front of the Asia Center is one of the biggest areas for construction. It's one of the most used bus stops in the area, and it has a big landing space for the bus, but it needs a lot of work. The way that CDOT built those roads is not effective, and they are literally crumbling. And so that'll be a really big project into the future. And they anticipate potentially starting in the fall of 27, but they would probably start, they said, at the Dartmouth and Federal intersection and work their way towards Alameda. So it would be a while, probably till 2028 before they hit where the Asia Center is. And then something that has been of interest to the community is the data center moratorium. So City Council will be voting on that on May 18th. So feel free to write in or come on that day. I anticipate it passing. What that does is not saying that we will never have data centers. It's saying we are going to study for a year what a data center means. I think you would maybe not know that we have some really small data centers in District 7 that are nothing like the Foresight site that has been built in Willville, Elyria, Swansea. That data center will use an amount of water that the whole neighborhood would use in a year in a day. And 80% of that water evaporates. And my neighborhood in Ackmer Park has an empty lake right now. And probably by the trees, and you're wondering why they're dying. So I think we have to be really thoughtful and take that into strong consideration. I have met with Coresight. They said they are open to thinking about how they can use air instead of water for cooling. And what that looks like. I think there's a lot of factors that have been elevated at council and concerns around data centers of this size in general. And then I'll I'll take questions, but I'll end on an exciting note, which is we did make a short film about South Broadway that will be at the INC meeting, and potentially we might be able to show it at the kickoff.
And we
or
definitely will have.
Okay, we will definitely have it showing at the kickoff. It's very heartwarming and beautiful, and it's an effort to support everything that's happening on South Broadway and Brittany Spinner's efforts to start a South Simply Museum, which we really want to be supportive of as well.
Awesome. We have about 5 minutes left, so, questions for the council?
Going once?
I have a question. I don't know if you would know, but I heard that about the bar 4 AM thing, that you still can only sell alcohol till 2 AM.
Correct.
So I'm not understanding why any bar would pay their bartenders to stay open and just babysit for 2 hours. Because if they're not taking any money over the counter, to me, it's just like, what are they doing?
I know there's previously been a bill at the state to keep those beer bars open later, so it could also add political pressure for the state to change that. Because the reason they're not changing that is because it's governed by the state.
Got it. Okay, I see. I just don't know who would pay their bartenders $16 an hour, not
Yeah.
make tips and then also
Okay.
babysit lunatics.
Yeah.
So I was a bartender for years. The reality is that we usually, if our last call was 1:40 in the morning, we were there till 3:40 anyway, getting paid. So if you've got a bunch of people like just hanging out and talking, it's like, as long as they're,
Sobering.
yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world. The other thing that I can think of if I were a bar owner is that it could potentially reduce my liability if I don't have like 100 of my patrons pouring into the street all at once. Not as big a deal maybe on South Broadway, but it's like a really big deal market in 20th. Where, yeah, like if you don't have people getting into fights in the street, like that can be good for your business as well.
We got different neighborhoods are different, because I've already done South Broadway and we leave in 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So we'll be interested to see what
Yeah.
people's feedback is, but we'll definitely get more information. And then I saw.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. And one is about the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless.
Mhm.
I know that they're continuing to buy properties after they bought the spot on the weekend. Will they stop? They're not getting signed with them?
I don't
Can you
think
just
so.
repeat the question?
So, yes, I'll repeat the question. So the question was, Colorado Coalition for the Homeless is buying more properties that they don't have funding to build on. I know I talked to Council President Sandoval and she said she has a similar situation in her district. And what she said that is happening right now, which is a good and bad, is other cities are also building affordable housing now, where at one point it was just Denver, so we were getting all the Prop 123 dollars and LIHTC dollars, which are some of the big support systems for these. And so I think they weren't anticipating not being able to get funding for that housing. I would assume they would stop, but I can't speak to their personal business model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my other question is about the new scooters when they roll out.
So those we were supposed to have, at late May, the Via. They said it's like Via, but no, Via. Via scooters, will be here soon. I think there's one that's really cool where you could get your groceries. That makes a lot of sense.
Okay,
to
that's
me.
great.
Yeah, because people in the west side were riding their scooters to the grocery store and then getting a lift, which is very expensive. Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot more of like, on Broadway, kids with their parents on these scooters with no helmets, and I'm horrified. And I heard that they might have at least 2-person scooters, so at least it would be safer if they're doing that, like, do they have
Yes, that is
2-person
correct.
scooters?
So
Okay.
there is now, this new company will bring in scooters where you can have your child on them. And part of the reason I think that Dottie was looking at them is because they have been willing to work with the new regulations around scooters. They're supposed to give out a bunch of helmets for those same reasons. They're supposed to require a picture of yourself. So they can see, if the picture of yourself includes a helmet, you'll get to ride cheaper. And it'll be documenting that children, which I think we've all seen children with scooters, that it will be documenting that
I
children.
mean, it's hard to do 2 people, I know that.
I know it's very scary, but I think people are really struggling to get around
Yeah.
the city because RTD hasn't been great. And so unfortunately it's been low rent.
We probably have time for like one more question.
On that same note, I've seen not even in the US, but scooters that have on it like attached to them. And then of course, this has some on the ground. Not with the scooters.
Yeah,
Just
that's,
repeat that.
oh, yeah, so the question was that in other countries, there are scooters that lock the helmet onto where they leave the helmet with the bike. Is that potential? I think there is potential for that over time. I think that there's just not a lot of trust right now that they would stay with the scooter. But the idea of getting away the helmets is a first step towards that, because that was a huge concern. I mean, if you talk to the emergency room doctors at Denver Health, they are very concerned about those scooters, so. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'll let you back to your benefit.
Thanks so much, Councilwoman, for being here. I also like messed up a little bit, so she made it here very last minute. So thank you so much for clearing your schedule. And now we have Rob, who is going to talk about unlocking housing choices. This presentation is kind of like relatively short, and then there's a lot of time for questions. So I will set the timer. And Rob, take it away.
Great. What time do we have until?
You have 40 minutes.
So until 8? Well,
Yeah.
or 7:45?
Yeah, fish.
Okay, cool.
I know, this one's a long one. That's what they asked for.
And yeah, normally these have been going an hour or more with questions. So if you don't have that many questions, I'm happy to get out of here a little bit earlier. But my name is Rob. I'm a senior city planner with community planning and development. Can you folks in the back hear me okay? All right, good. I'm gonna try to keep my voice up, but if I start to slow down or get quieter, let me know. So I am the planner who is managing the city's Unlocking Housing Choices project, which is an implementation project that the city is undertaking. And it's what we call a text amendment. So the Denver zoning code is what governs what you can and cannot do on private property. That's everything from how many houses you can have there, if you can have a business on your property, how big your house can be, or even if you can move dirt on your property. That's all governed by the Denver zoning code. So our proposal doesn't change any of the zoning designations, but it changes what's allowed within the existing zoning. So our proposed project is a text amendment to change the zoning code in order to implement the adopted plans. And the city's adopted plans are the first step. And this plan or this project that we're working on now is actually what takes that kind of way. This community meeting is actually pretty cool for me. I live in WWPNA area and I'm a member. I'm at Emerson and Alameda. This project will affect me in my house and neighborhood just like it affects all of yours. But let's talk about what we're actually doing. So the plan guidance that I talked about before, there's quite a bit of it, but the most important piece can kind of be boiled down to this language here. It says that we should integrate missing middle housing into low and low medium residential areas. So when we say low and low medium residential areas, we're talking about areas like where we live, single unit, 2-unit, and row house zone districts. So that exactly fits most of what WWPNA is. And when we talk about missing middle housing, what we're talking about is basically anything that is house scaled in size, but has more than just one unit in it. So that is, these are some great examples from our neighborhood. This one at the top left is on Dakota, and it's a great example that I walk by regularly. I think there's 6 or 7 units in this one. Duplexes are also an example of missing middle housing. Basically, it's house scaled multifamily dwellings. One of the reasons we're doing this is because the housing in Denver is largely split between single unit residential and large apartment buildings. There is not much selection if you are looking for this missing middle. So anything that's a duplex, triplex, or row house, Denver just doesn't have a whole lot of that. One of the reasons it's called missing middle is for the last 50 to 70 years or so, it really hasn't been legal to be constructed because our zoning is so restrictive. One of the primary reasons why our zoning has prevented this from happening is because most of the city that is zoned for residential uses only allows for single family residential uses. If we look at the entire city land area, 40% of the entire city's land area is only allowed, is only zoned for single family housing. So this is a little bit difficult to see, but you can kind of see basically the blobs across most of the city is kind of where it's illegal to build anything except for a single unit house. So that is really restricted where you can build new housing, and that has increased the price of housing everywhere else. Because these areas can't absorb any of the new people who are moving in, since these areas are predominantly built out. Most of these lots already have a house on them. Occasionally you'll find a lot that's big enough to be split, or there's a large corner lot, or an old church that might be, no longer used as a church, and sometimes those are updated into more housing, but for the most part, these areas are built out. So what that's led to is the development that does happen in these areas is extremely expensive. The new housing that is built within single unit zoned areas, new houses typically over $1.4 million. It says 80% over $1.4 million and 82% over 3,000 square feet. So not only are we not able to provide any new affordable housing for people, and I'm saying naturally affordable housing, right? So not something that's administered to someone making a certain income. This is just housing that happens to be more affordable to regular people. We're not building any more of that. Instead, what we're doing is we're tearing down those smaller houses and building these really big homes. So that's kind of a double tap to our housing supply for starter homes. These two maps, again, sorry, a little difficult to see here, show where new housing is built. The big takeaway from this map for us is that we're in an area that has a fair amount of development pressure. We see new development happening here now. We see, especially around the park, through the neighborhood where there are existing duplexes. Those are often getting scraped and replaced with really big duplexes. There was just one built on my block. This is something, this project, we could expect to see the outcome of this project in our neighborhood. And there's a few benefits to that. So we don't expect this project to all of a sudden change where development is happening. We also don't expect it to rapidly increase the amount of houses being torn down, because what this does is it changes the number of houses that are built for each teardown increases. So in order to meet the new supply, there are less teardowns required. So this is not going to create a situation where all of a sudden we have a developers flooding into the neighborhood. And tearing down houses. When we look at other cities that have undertaken similar work, the uptake is fairly similar as far as the number of single family homes that are being demolished. The change is what's being built. So if we talk, actually, I'm going to skip. In just a second, we'll talk about what we're planning on allowing to be built. But before I do that, this project has a fairly quick timeline. At the end of this year, we will be bringing something to City Council for approval. So that means that by 2027, new development, new building in our neighborhood could be what is allowed under this project. There are two phases, as Councilwoman Albijo's noted. The city has gone through some budget challenges, and there was some reduction in staffing, and our team was no longer able to complete the full project goals in the original timeline. So what we decided to do was split the project up into two pieces, accomplish some things that we felt like would be easier, more straightforward, and we can take that first incremental step, and then take this additional time after that and kind of complete the original project goals to allow more housing in more places. But this first phase that we'll talk about, and everything we're talking about here is what we're proposing at the end of 2026, will be brought in this first package. We are currently in the process of updating, of developing our recommendations and strategies. So we do have the original guidance from those adopted plans that I described at the beginning, that tells us kind of generally what we're going to do, but we don't know exactly how we're going to do it. So that's still where we are in this process. There are certain decisions that have been made, and we're going to do things, but how we're going to do it has not been made. What these buildings might look like, the specific limitations, where certain things could be or could be built on a property and that sort of thing is not yet finalized. That's still places where we're looking for input. So what are we actually doing? So the project can be broken up into three key strategies. The first are the updates to the building form and scale. So right now you can build, if you were to max out a building envelope on a standard 6,000 square foot Denver lot, you could build approximately 7,000 square feet above grade. That's a really big house. That's a lot to build on. We actually think that in our testing that is big enough to build multiple units. So we're actually going to start with what you can build a house and kind of bring that down a little bit, but then allow additional units to be built within that same shape and size of the structure. So even though we're allowing additional dwelling units to be allowed, we are reducing the size and mass of what's built in neighborhoods because it's so much bigger than what exists in neighborhoods, particularly neighborhoods like West Wash Park, Spear, and Baker. The second piece, the key proposal is the infill bonus. So this would allow missing middle housing and it would allow new housing units on a property, but you have to keep that existing house in place. So if you keep your existing house, you can build additional units at the rear, or let's say you have a corner lot, you can build them so they access that side street. Some houses in Wash Park in West Wash Park are these alley houses that are set towards the back of the property. Those are good candidates for new development at the front. However, you have to keep that original house in place. There's a couple reasons for that, and we'll get into that. The third key strategy is the affordability bonus, and this would allow for new housing units on single and 2 unit lots when at least one of the units is affordable. So this is that capital A affordable. This is the affordability that is administered by the city for individuals or families making less than a certain income in order to make sure that housing is being provided for kind of the full spectrum of Denverites. But these are our 3 key strategies, and these next couple slides go through them really quickly, and then I'll be answering questions. So when we talk about form and design updates, there are 2 kind of different pieces of this. First are the form standards and design standards. So these are things like we're going to change the definition of a half story. So Denver for a long time defined a half story as having to be within a roof structure. At some point, and I think it was around 2010 when the code changed, You could, they changed how, half story was defined, and now you can build this kind of full third story that's just slightly less square footage, but it can be a flat roof. And these buildings that we're seeing have these really long two-story walls that extend back in the lot, with this upper third story, and kind of looks like a cruise ship on a piece of land. Especially the duplexes, they really kind of have that wedding cake shape. Anyway, that is a new type of building that's really doesn't fit in with the size and scale of the neighborhood. So we're gonna address that. We're also gonna look at standards around porches and wall length to address some of those other concerns about massing of these new buildings. One of the reasons we're doing this in coordination with this missing middle housing project is because along with our plans calling for missing middle housing, they really emphasize the need that this be house scale, and that we work to protect the size and scale of the neighborhoods while we integrate missing middle housing. So in order to fully follow up our plan guidance, we need to make these changes and address these issues at the same time. In addition to that, we are also going to establish a maximum floor area for residential structures. This is not something that Denver has done, but it's something that almost every other peer city who has undertaken a similar project has done. To limit the maximum size of new single unit residential buildings, as well as new multi-unit developments on properties. This scales up for each additional unit that you would build. And this works to incentivize the type of development that we're hoping to see. It also helps to encourage developers to build again, these additional units that are smaller in size and divide that land cost, and then therefore are naturally cheaper than what we're seeing today. So instead of a 7,000 square foot house let's be realistic. Instead of a 5,000 square foot house in our neighborhood, that single unit is limited to 3,500. But if you build a duplex at the front and a duplex at the back, then you could potentially build 5,500 square feet, which would be 4 units, about 400 or about 1,500 square feet, 1,300 square feet each. So those are smaller units being created, and this scaling kind of helps that math for buildings. In addition to that form changes, this is that infill bonus that I talked about. So some of these examples here, right? So if you have an existing house, you can build these additional units at the rear of the property. This works well for alley loaded properties or for properties with unique configurations. Maybe they're a little bit wider. It's not going to work for every lot. And again, that front house has to be preserved in order to keep preserve that neighborhood character. And again, that size limitation would stay in place here. So if you have a 2,000 square foot home up front, you have the remainder of this number depending on how many units you buy or build. So if you build 2 more units in the back, you have 3,000 square feet for both of those 2 back units combined. So this is the third strategy. And this is when new units can be built on a property if one of them is affordable. So this is the only situation where you could completely scrape a lot and rebuild with more units than you are allowed to today. This again is somewhat infeasible unless you are an affordable housing developer, or you already own the property, or there is something unique about the property that lowers its price. Because of the financial burden of that at least one single or that one affordable unit. This is most likely going to be taken up by our affordable housing builders who already operate in the city. And again, the key here is that these are house scale developments. So between these 2 strategies, we have a fairly modern approach with this first phase. Again, we're in a process right now where we're developing the details of this. So we have these 3 key strategies described just about as I've described them, but beyond that, we're still working through the details, so. That's all I have to present, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. All right, I'll start up right here.
Thank you. It's great to see the city prioritize the housing like this through the planning department. Just for a little more context, can you talk about, even anecdotally, what the city has done in the last 10 years for affordable housing and why this different approach is going to be more successful? And furthermore, how successful is it going to be? Like, is it going to solve like the country and our biggest problem, which we to say is the housing shortage? Like what are you expecting this to do?
Yeah, great question. So no, it is not going to solve affordable housing. No one strategy would, and if there was a silver bullet, every city would be doing the same thing. The reason that most cities are doing something similar to this, and the reason Denver is because it's just part of our affordable housing or our housing reforms in general. It provides not only a needed level of affordability of new housing options, but it provides a new housing type that right now isn't allowed to be built in a lot of places. So to get back to your first question, the city has an inclusionary zoning requirement for any development with 10 or more units, so apartment buildings or row houses with that many units has to have at least it's complicated, either 12 or 8% affordable units. So they have to have some percent of the units affordable to certain percentages of the average median. So that is kind of where we expect to still see the most, the highest number of new affordable units come online and the deepest level of affordability. This strategy really helps the young professional, young family couple who is in an apartment, but they want to move to a more residential area. But in Denver, because I showed that zoning map, if you want to move to a residential area, you have to be able to afford a house for the most part. We are really fortunate in this neighborhood to have some good examples that were built prior to the zoning rules being in place, where there are a fair number of duplexes and small row homes and garden courts and things like that. So we are looking to provide a level of affordability that is kind of higher than the true, like, they really need help affording any type of housing. But providing it for that young professional who wants with different options in a more residential setting. The other opportunity for this is older families who are looking to downsize out of their house. The kids are out of the house. They don't want the yard upkeep or anything else. This provides more options, again, in this wider residential setting that still has a lot of the same amenities of a single family home, like a private entrance or your own four walls, potentially parking offsite, and kind of in a quieter neighborhood and not on a four-way. So those are kind of the just that little bit more flexibility than we allow now, but no, it's not going to solve the problem. So a great question. Thank you so much. Anything else? Yes, in the back, and then I'll go for you.
Thank you for your presentation. Could you share, you mentioned some peer cities, so could you share some examples of cities who have implemented this and who, like, I don't know if you know of any who like has said like, oh, this has been really positive, or they've had a chance to do like sort of on to look at how it may have impacted numbers or anything like that in terms of new space or how like the current residents of that particular neighborhood live with that or run with that.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, thank you. So the question was, if I could speak a little bit more about some of the peer city examples and some of the experiences that we've seen in other cities. The best example far and away is Portland. And there are a few reasons for that. Portland has done the best job in tracking what happened before and after they implemented similar project. They allow 1 to 4 units on previously single family zone lots, and then up to 6 with affordability. So they went further than we did. The other reason Portland's a good example, in addition to tracking, they have similar market pressures to Denver, similar population, and a similar breakdown of the type of housing that existed before and after. So, you know, if you look at our peer city research, you'll see a lot about Portland because they've done a really good job with tracking that. And a lot of what I've talked about today being, you know, that they didn't see a huge jump in the amount of demolitions occurring in single family areas. Even though they saw a significant jump in the number of units being created, and that's because more units are created per demolition. The other thing they saw is those new units that are being created are naturally $250,000 to $300,000 cheaper than the new lots being created in those same neighborhoods that were single family houses. So just naturally, it creates much more affordable housing. That again is still desirable for a lot of the same reasons that single family houses are. Other cities that have done things similar to this are Spokane and Sacramento, and well, there's, you know, most of the cities in Oregon, Washington, and California, because there are state mandates that require it. Charlotte and Minneapolis are two others. Austin has a similar provision. So we're doing this at a great time where we can look around at different cities and see what people have done. But since Portland did theirs more than 5 years ago now, they did such a good job with their data. We do look at them well. So yeah, great question.
Thank you.
Oregon.
Bobby, you have a question?
Oh, yes.
So, so you've talked a lot about new construction and allowing more units. Will this also allow subdivision of existing single family homes? So if there's existing 3,500 square feet single family homes.
Do people in the back hear that?
I can repeat it.
Okay.
So the question is about how, if this would allow for the subdivision of existing homes. And yes, technically it would. However, the building code requirements in order to retrofit an existing house to fit those additional units makes it nearly impossible or financially infeasible. So unfortunately, we're not going to see that, like the renaissance of, you know, what we saw in your, you know, what you might see in Capitol. And I'd say, unfortunately, it depends on who you ask, but you know, I think we are giving that flexibility. People will much more easily now be able to create a basement apartment if they want to, and have that be a fully separate unit that they could rent out, sell. It could be larger than an ADU. So, you know, for that additional single unit, it does add a lot more benefits beyond what our ADU standards do now. But it's not huge leaps and bounds, and we don't expect to see a ton of that. The other thing is in the future, we might have building code changes that relax a little bit in order to provide that subdivision of existing housing. Or the construction of stacked flats. So right now in Colorado, and there's a lot of building code reasons why it's difficult to build, you know, even a duplex or triplex that have the units on top of one another because of fire code reasons. If those are ever relaxed in the future, we're just going to go ahead and get out of the way, and then we can continue working with our building division to try to fix those problems down the line. But yeah, great question. Yes, sir.
Two quick questions on the. So are those lots splittable? So they're separately, unlike ADUs?
Yes, the lots would be splittable by parcel, so they would still be a single zone lot. And if you live in a duplex, your duplex is actually both of the units are still on one zone lot as far as the city's like setbacks and lot coverage and other regulations go, but you can have separate ownership parcels. So in that same way, yes, sir, you can.
Another question, how has the current ADU was turned out? Has it been successful?
Yes, so our ADU standards, or our ADU standards that were allowed accessory dwelling units citywide have gotten more and more uptake increasingly over the last year since it's been adopted. It's been fairly moderate, but as builders are starting to find ways to streamline things and cut costs where they can, There are more and more coming online. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. I think this year, I would want to say we're over 100, but it's not a huge amount, but yeah, it's increasing the speed. And we expect similar, but maybe a little bit more uptake with this project. Yes, go for that.
Maybe the related question, the vision of building an existing garage, it's parked in,
So the question was about building over existing garages and parking. So this will kind of loosen up the zoning requirements around let's see, what's the right way to say this? So you can do that currently for an ADU. There are building code reasons that make it really difficult, and a lot of times an existing garage's slab that was poured on as the foundation is not strong enough to support a second story. So when most people look to kind of pop the top on their garage, so to speak, and build an ADU, that's the first conversation that the city or their builder has with them. Those are typically the reasons why that type of building was less feasible. We are unlikely to change that challenge. However, these new dwelling units that we are allowing would allow a configuration with parking on the main floor and living space above. Yes, go ahead.
So my question is, how will this support or not support, people aging in place?
Yeah, great question. So in a few ways, so one of the main things that this does for people aging in place is it allows more options for different living situations in residential neighborhoods. So it provides the ability for builders to build more accessible units in neighborhoods that are kind of traditionally less accessible. So let's say someone is moving out of their house in West Watch Park, and but they want to stay in West Watch Park for that reason. Their options are more limited now, and we are looking to expand these types of housing that are allowed. The other options would be that person, if they own their house, they could potentially sell a portion of their property to be developed under our new rules, which could provide them the extra financial support that they might need to stay in their house. They could also, potentially build on their property the house that is more accommodating for their needs and sell the main house if that fits their needs better. Could potentially also buy something that and split it and partner with a builder to do that. Most people don't have the set of skills required to build. But anyway, it's kind of there's a myriad of ways that we could have.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, go ahead.
Is this going to change lot coverage requirements at all?
Good question. We are still trying to will our rules change lot coverage? So the amount of land on a zone lot that buildings can cover. We are exploring that. Right now, the testing that we've done for feasibility has tested both strategies that do and do not change the lot coverage, and it kind of works both ways. So typically where things go over the limit are like a garage or something like that. The other thing is the city right now on residential lots doesn't have a limitation on the amount of impervious area. So even though you can only build right now on about 40% of your lot, you can pave it end to end. So that's coming right before our project. It's called Denver Resilient Landscapes, and they are going to establish some impermeable and landscaping requirements, as well as some protection for trees, because that's another big concern. Okay, great, we got time for one more. Moving back.
I think I would just say, the reason not making is, even
Yeah, so the city doesn't require any parking for any development anymore. So whether it's a single unit residence, which we've never required parking for, or a new apartment or business, the city doesn't require any parking off street. Most of these are gonna have parking off street because that's what people want. But it's not required, so that's coming up later and later in each community meeting. I think people are becoming less afraid of people parking on the street. So great question, Rick.
How can we contact you / be in touch moving forward?
Yes, I have, my email address is in the agenda. So please reach out if you have any questions. Also, we have a survey that is live, on our website for one more day. It closes tomorrow. We haven't had it open until the end of April and, so.
Maybe we'll see you a lot in the meeting.
Yeah. you
Yeah,
become a
yeah.
member.
Yeah, I am a member.
Oh.
And I've been on, to a couple virtual ones, I think one at Blackbird, so. Maybe I'll show my face.
Thank you.
It's weird, so.
Okay, we're in great shape in terms of timing. Thank you, everybody. Okay, two real quick things. You can come up. Councilwoman Alvarez had to leave, but she meant to mention that we received, so they had a grant that Robbie and Jess applied for, and we received $5,000. So she's gonna follow up with us, Robbie, to talk through disbursement and all that stuff. And then just really quick before we have Lucia present, I just wanted to introduce the pastor. She's here. This is her space, so let's thank her and let her introduce us.
So I'm Pastor Nicole. I've been here probably 18 months or so. So I'm still fairly new to the neighborhood, but Epiphany's been here since 1938. And we have a great space. And I want to open it up to anyone who's a member of the West Washington Park Neighborhood Association. If you need to have a party and your living room is too small, take a look around and we will give you a substantial discount. We're offering this for the Park Association meetings and stuff. We're offering it for free. So this is a stage you all should have access to. So I would say $50 if you want to have a party on a Saturday afternoon. Listen, we can pay our things. So welcome.
Thank you.
For Ryan, yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. So we have
Everybody.
one more quick. Thank you all for being so attentive. We have one more quick presentation before we begin elections.
This is a fun presentation. And there is another QR code there. It's on the piano. So what I want everyone to do is take out your phone. I want you to vote for your favorite eating establishment in West Wash Park. So I am here to talk about instant runoff in Denver. And this is also more commonly known as ranked choice voting. Some of you know it by that name. And I am part of a group that is advocating to bring it to Denver's municipal elections. So let's see, I think it's this one. There we go.
Yep. Sorry.
That's okay. Denver city elections, our elections, they're nonpartisan, but the way we run them still creates a lot of issues. Who remembers the 2023 election with 17 people running for mayor, right? So when a candidate in 2023, in Denver, the way it operates right now is if no one gets a majority, no one gets 50% plus one, the top two vote getters go to a runoff. So in 2023, it was Mike Johnston and Kelly Brough, and you can see how much their votes were. But look at Lisa Calderon. She was just right there at 18%. And then, we have Andy Rougeau and Leslie Herod right in there. But when it went to the runoff, if you voted for any of these other, anyone other than the top two candidates, you're like, ah, great. Well, now I have to vote for somebody I don't even really want. So that it's, everyone else is just automatically eliminated. And every runoff that we do costs taxpayers millions of dollars because they have to run a whole nother election again. And so we have our election in April, and then when we have a runoff, it happens 2 months later in June. And turnoff drops dramatically. And in fact, fewer people show up. In 2023, 11,000 fewer people voted in the runoff than in the main election. So.
Did you say 11,000?
11,000, yeah. So instant runoff works a little differently. If you rank, you vote, you know, for who you want to vote for, and then you rank who you would want to come in next. And in the state of Colorado, you can rank up to 6. You don't have to rank all 6. You can just vote for one if you want. But if that person doesn't win, you don't get any more say in the election. So this is you have your candidate A, B, C, and D, and you vote. And if you know, any of you have little kids.
Oh, sorry, that was from the past. That was good. That was my alarm for the past presentation.
But you know that if you have a toddler, they know how to pick their favorite cookies, right? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to be able to rank who you love, who you like, and who you can live with. So in a ranked choice voting, if nobody gets 50% in the first round of voting, the person who came in last, they are eliminated. And then whoever voted for that last place contender, their second choice gets in and gets counted up. And that is the second round. And then in the second round, whoever came in last gets eliminated and their second choices move up, or third choices if it was one from the first round, until you get to 50% plus 1. So there are several cities in Colorado that are already doing this. Boulder, Broomfield allows it. Fort Collins just had their first one. They had their mayor, took 6 rounds to get to their mayor, but it's all in one election. You don't have to keep coming back. You vote, it's one election, voter turnout is great and better, and you don't have to think about it again. So it's better for Denver because 1, it saves money, there's higher voter turnout, and you get a majority winner, just like you would in a runoff, but it's instant. So, and where are we at here? Another little benny of having instant runoff or ranked choice voting is that you get more positive campaigns. You have to focus on the issues. You can't slag your opponent and say, well, this person's this and that, because maybe there's somebody in the audience who really likes that person, and now you've completely turned them off. You really need to focus on the issues, and you can say to your potential voters that, hey, I see that you like Jane Doe. You're a real big supporter of Jane Doe. I hope you'll consider me for your second choice. And it creates a much more positive, issues-focused campaign rather than a campaign of personalities. Oh, let's see. So we get one election, one majority winner, instant runoff. It's a smarter way to vote. We've got, these are just a few of the organizations that are supporting us. We've got the League of Women Voters, Fair Vote. ACE is the Alliance for Competitive Elections, Veterans for All Voters, and Common Cause Colorado. Some others who I don't have on here is New Era, the Colorado Black Women's CW, I can't remember it, but they are also big supporters. And if you want to learn more, we've got things going on. We have a website, it's rcvfordenver.org. And if you click, if you scan this code, it will also take you to a petition. What we're trying to do is get city council to refer it to this November's election. They tried to refer it last year, but it lost by 1 vote. I wish Flora was still here. Because we want her vote to flip from no to yes, because it just needs a 7-6 just to refer it. We thought, well, we'll get signatures, but then it turned out we were gonna need something like 70,000 signatures, which is a really big ask. So we think we do have the support in city council. One of the criticisms of last year's effort is that they didn't feel like there was enough community engagement. So we are working hard, coming to RNO meetings. I'll be at AFMAR next month, hopefully INC soon, hopefully Chun. So getting the word out there. If you are also, when you sign the petition, if you are interested in learning more and presenting at your church groups, because it's a nonpartisan issue, or other community groups other than your RNO, your beer drinking buddies, you want to talk about it, we're hosting an event this Saturday morning to talk about that. You basically will give this presentation and I lost my phone over here. Did everybody vote? All right, well, let's see. Let me close out the voting so that we can, oops, that's not us. Let me close out the voting and we'll, here we go. Let me get to my dashboard. Dashboard. Okay. What? There we drama, sorry. It signed me out. Okay. So what? Well,
When the city does this, they don't have to do it on the phone.
no, they don't. Okay, so close voting now. If you go, you ought to be able to see some results. Do you have any results?
I can be the preliminary.
You could see the preliminaries as they were going on? Okay, good. But so, let's see. Results. Here we go. Oh, look at that. It took. Who is the winner? Bon Ami is the winner. And it looks like, let's see, it took 5 rounds to get to that. And if you look at the visualization, there's a drop-down menu, and you can watch it, how it works as an animated bar chart. You can go through round by round to see how it went. And it's pretty cool. So, Bon Ami won, but it, with 60%, wow, all right. That's awesome. Hey, Bangkok didn't do so hot. Yeah, anyway, that is my presentation, and I'm happy to entertain any questions if there's 2 or 3. Amy?
I'm confused. If I vote once, why are there different rounds? What do you mean? What's in?
Okay, so everybody votes once, but you have ranked your choices. If nobody, the first round of voting, you just count everybody's first choice. And then if nobody gets to 50%, whoever came in last, their vote drops off. They drop off. And then they take the second choice of whoever voted for that last place person. And that's the second round.
So it's more we don't see these rounds happening. We just see a winner, basically.
Yeah.
But that's how it's calculated on that.
Exactly. You will see the rounds when you're seeing the counting. You'll see it like, oh, well, we didn't get it. We're going back for another round, because it's quite possible that ranked choice voting doesn't change the outcome. Maybe somebody gets 50% plus 1 in the first round, and then it's no different. But in Denver, I ran for city council in 2015, and there were 9 of us. And it was a lot. And then we had the mayor's race. It was a lot going on. So yeah, what other questions? You and then Nikita.
So 2 questions kind of go off each other. So one, if this is referred to ballot passes, is it gonna apply to all municipal elections? And then-
All of Denver's municipal elections, and it wouldn't take place until 2031, so it won't impact 2027. But 2031. So mayor, city council, auditor, clerk and recorder, and I think those are the main ones.
And then, how does that work for the at-large seats?
Right now, because of what happened last year, there's a seat A and a seat B, so they're just gonna be separate seats. In an ideal world, and this is not something we're working on right now, in an ideal world, we would have possibly, instead of having one person per district, maybe you have fewer districts, but each district might be represented by 3 people. And if you have a multi winner seat, kind of, then you can have something that's called proportional ranked choice voting, and that's what Portland does right now, Portland, Oregon. Although Maine does have ranked choice voting throughout the state, including voting for president. So, and also, just by the way, the Denver Democrats voted to put on their platform ranked choice voting. I don't think it made it to the state level, but it is at least in Denver County.
Those were my questions.
Oh, there you go.
Alex, did you have a question?
Well, I have one right here, and then I'll get to talk.
Those will be our last 2.
All right.
Okay, yeah, I have a sort of statistically strange question. If, let's say nobody put a second choice, everybody just put one, and it was split and nobody reaches 50%. So right then, whoever's eliminated, they don't have any votes to redistribute. So is there some situation where you get gridlocked and nobody ever reaches 50%? Or do the people who are eliminated get eliminated from the denominator, so they would just knock people off and then whoever got the most?
You know, I've heard that election where, I mean, there's always gonna be some who's like, I'm voting for this person and nobody else. And there's always gonna be a few of those. But in the grand scheme of things, I've never heard of that happening, so I don't think I can answer your question. Well,
It does seem unlikely.
everybody has opinions, right? Nobody here has opinions. Everybody's got opinions on who they think should go, and yeah, so I don't know, I can't imagine that happening, so I don't know exactly what the answer to that would be, but yeah.
Last question, Thomas?
You said that there would be 6 choices that we could make.
Well,
Does that mean that there's only 6
no,
candidates?
you can have as many candidates as they can do, but the state of Colorado is only allowing us to rank 6. Studies have shown that people could probably do up to 10. Australia, where my husband is from, they have had ranked choice voting almost since it became a country. And voting is also compulsory in Australia. You are forced to vote. So they have a thing called the donkey vote. So it's really important you get to the top of the ballot. But what we can do now, and you guys here, when you voted for the restaurants, some of you had different restaurants at the top. They weren't all the same. All the restaurants were there, but they were all in different orders. So you don't kind of get that donkey vote effect where I'm just gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it moves around, it randomizes it. So anyway, my email is on the agenda. It's rcbfordenver@gmail.com. If you have more questions, I am happy to answer them. I'm very excited. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak. This QR code right here, or go to RCB for Denver.org.
I'll email it out.
Sign the petition.
Yeah, I was collecting signatures. I believe the last time it looks like. Okay, all right.
Okay.
I think I can do it like.
Also, look at our timing. We're 7 minutes ahead of schedule. Awesome. Okay. So I'm gonna do a quick overview of the elections, and then our candidates are gonna speak, and then people are gonna vote. So basically there are 7 open seats, and the term is 2 years. So it lasts from June 1st of this year until May 31st, 2028. We have 8 candidates running currently, but then there's also an option for people to run from the floor. So basically, to get on the written ballot, you had to submit, you had to be nominated and then submit your nomination by last week. But we don't want to exclude people from being able to run from the floor. So, we'll also have an opportunity for that. That should say all members are eligible to vote. All members are eligible to vote. Actually, you know what that is? Sorry. All the candidates I confirmed are eligible to vote. And then each person will give a 2-minute speech. It'll just be in alphabetical order. That's the same order of the ballot. And then for voting, basically you need to have a current WWPNA membership by May 5th of this year. In the past, it's been at this meeting, but I know that sometimes there's confusion with membership. So we have a meeting, our general board meeting on May 5th. So between now and then, I'm happy to answer any questions about membership. Membership is pay what you can. And so it's great if you want to give us some money, but it's also, we don't want money to be a barrier to people being members. So please make sure you're a member. It's renewed within the last year by May 5th. Some people have like household memberships. Well, we're gonna work on addressing that in the future, but for now, one ballot is one member's vote. So for example, Fran, on like her membership, I see it on our side as like Fran and Dave's name. So they each would, even though in the system it's like one membership, they each would get a vote. My household, for example, like me and my fiance Austin have separate memberships. So we can all work with you to figure that out if you're worried about your household. I want to be strict about the 5th deadline, but I also want to be mindful that some people are doing it by household and we can check. There are options for paper, so you can vote on paper and give your ballot to me today. You can vote on paper and email it to me or text me a picture, which all of that is on the written ballot. We'll go over that in a moment. Or you could drop it off at my mailbox. So you guys are gonna have like all of my information. Or you can vote online. We need 75 votes for a quorum. So in the past, we haven't had a quorum, and then the community or the board certifies the election. But because we're gonna be updating our bylaws anyway in the future, we need to actually have an election. So our voting period is gonna be a month long. That's what we've done in the past. There's options to change that in the future, but right now it's a month. And so basically the voting period starts today and will go through May 29th. When in doubt, you can check out www.pna.org/election 2026, or you can reach out to me. My contact information is later, or it's on the written ballot. Are there any, membership. That's the QR code for membership. Are there any questions about how the election is going to function? That's great. On the back of your agendas, I accidentally didn't print a double-sided today at work. I'm so sorry. There's a membership QR code, there's a donate QR code, there's the candidate statements, and there's the digital ballot all right here. And if you also want the specific links, they're also at the bottom. Any questions?
What if we don't do QR codes?
That's why we have paper ballots.
Where are they?
I have them. Don't worry, they're all up here. I got them. I printed out like 50 of them. Don't worry.
Thank you, Christina.
And the paper ballot is also online. So if you go to our website, I'll send an email to everybody. Don't worry. You can print it out and then drop it off at my house. Don't be sketchy. Or you can text it to me. Or I will come to your house and pick it up. Okay, awesome. So we're gonna do some candidate statements. Every candidate's gonna have 2 minutes to share. I will time you. You'll just have my alarm go off. And so we're just gonna go in alphabetical order. Would it be helpful if I handed out the paper ballots so you can see people's names?
Yes.
Yeah, do you have a question? Yes, okay, awesome. So let me just hand these out to those that want paper ballots. If you want a digital ballot, this is the digital ballot. Paper?
Yeah.
It's a fair choice.
I will send it in the chat momentarily. I'll just let this pass around. Awesome. Awesome. Well. And then we have this over here. Okay. Awesome, so. Well, they're just. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed a few people.
When I went online, I tried to read you, said. What about Barna, was that optional?
That was optional, so.
Oh, and I clicked it and.
That's okay, I can also double check. I'll double
So
check.
it didn't go through, so I got.
Okay, awesome, okay. So, we're still doing great with time. I'm gonna hand it over to Chelsea, so it's just gonna go in this order. Chelsea, come on up.
Here, so the microphone hits me. All right.
Awesome.
Hello. Good to see my good side.
Let me just.
Don't worry, face that. It was a funny joke. Okay. Hello neighbors, I'm Chelsea Barker, she, her pronouns. My husband and I live at Downing in Virginia. We bought our house 6 years ago in February. So it's lovely to live here. We love living here and I don't think we'll be going anywhere anytime soon. So after the last federal election, I felt really hopeless about what I felt like I could do to make my corner of the world a better place. And so I was talking to some friends and they were like, yeah, it really is like all politics are local. Like that really is what it is. And that has really just stuck with me. And when I start to see things that really frustrate me or make me frightened or make me worried for my neighbors or the folks that I share a community with, I really think, what can I do in my corner of the world to make things better for the people that I orbit with? And so hopefully joining the West Wash Park Neighborhood Association board is one of the ways that I can affect change for the people that I care about, people that I share my streets with, the kids who go to the schools by my house, the people who walk on my sidewalks, the people who go to our beautiful park. And that is why I'm running. So I work at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. I used to be a volunteer coordinator in previous nonprofits, and that's what I do now for the museum. I also was a florist for a hot minute at Plum Stage, which used to be like right across from the house in Montana. It's no longer at that location. So I've done a couple different things, but I love living here. I feel incredibly lucky that I get to live in this neighborhood and share with all of you. And my priorities are safe streets for our kiddos walking to school with my neighbors who are here. And of course, creating more opportunities for people to purchase homes, live and rent and visit safely in our neighborhood. So that includes pedestrians and folks who are traveling from around the city to come to Wash Park and really just make this place someplace where like where I grew up was in a suburban neighborhood and I knew all of my neighbors and going sledding and everything was really exciting because I knew everyone and I want that to be everyone's experience too. So thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Next we have Lee. Can you just like stand like a little bit? I'm just gonna make sure. Try to talk.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so it just has your torso, so maybe.
Oh, you're looking for the camera? Oh.
There you go. Okay. Sorry, Chelsea. Yeah, that hurts. Okay, great. You have 2 minutes.
I'm 27 years old. I live at the corner of Logan Street and Virginia Avenue. I used to live at the corner of Emerson Street and Virginia Avenue. Been living in the West Wash Park neighborhood for about a year now. And on Sunday, I'm graduating with my MBA from CU Boulder. And believe it or not, I do not have a car. For the past 3 years in Denver, For the past 3 years in Denver, I've been here without a car. I'm excited to run for the board to represent more of the transit, but different ways that people get around on the board and younger people on the board as well, because I feel like these voices aren't necessarily as represented. And I think given how influential RNs can be with the Denver City Council, it feels important to represent these different aspects when it comes to the decision that we all make. And considering what the councilman said earlier in just this meeting, people are really struggling to get around the city and to afford housing and to make the city work for them and, you know, make sure that the city meets their needs when they are. So I'm excited to learn like this.
Thank you. Awesome. Next we have Jeffrey, not Jeremy. I messed that
I'll
up.
put it right here, so we're good.
Okay, let's back up a little bit. Try talking.
Hi, my name's Jeff.
Perfect.
All right.
Great.
Hi everyone, my name's Jeffrey, Jeff, you know, by both, it doesn't really bother me. Me and my husband moved to West Wash Park about 1.5 years ago. We're right across the street from Lucille's, so if you're ever at Lucille's, come say hi. We're the little blue house over there. Happy to host. So anyway, I've been in Denver for several years, but never in West Wash Park, and me and my husband have just fell in love with this neighborhood. We were instantly surrounded by a bunch of community. All of our neighbors came out and just welcomed us. We loved how intergenerational it was. And I would love to be part of the board to help kind of foster that community of intergenerational meeting and collaboration and sharing community with all of you. My big priorities are also echo a lot of what others have said, safe streets. I was part of some of the Alameda protests last fall with Amy and others, and that was really great to get involved. Felt very similar to Chelsea. I was like, what can I do? And I painted a sign and showed up, and it was a lovely time and met so many lovely folks here. So that's a big priority for me, as well as just kind of continuing to use the RNO to advocate in the wider city. I think the West Wash Park has some great projects coming at the city level, like the women's soccer stadium and the other RGB improvements that we could really use our collective voice to be kind of advocate for. So that's me. And
Thank you. Next we have William Thomas Fenton.
WTF. I wasn't consulted on the decision, but I support it. Yeah.
You're kind of tall, so. Well, more hard. Yeah, perfect. Awesome.
yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah.
That's good.
I agree. How you doing, Louis? Hi, everybody. I want to first recognize some of the outgoing board members, current board members, and even just all the members in the room here today. There are a lot more people here than there were a year ago. A testament, again, to the folks who've been doing this for several years, but also to people like Christina, who've just been doing this for a year and who bring a lot of energy to this organization, which I think is fantastic. So really, thank all of them. I think it's important to say, I've been to other neighborhood organization meetings like this, and there were 5 or 6 people. They didn't have fresh cookies, etc. I think we've got something special here that we're building upon. So thanks to everyone for that. Let's see. I love Denver. I love West Wash Park. I'm from here. I think I'm really pleased with what I'm hearing from other people who are running too. I think there's a lot of shared values, and I think we're going to be successful with any of the folks who are successful and who are elected. If that is me, then what I would bring is dedication and experience. The dedication of someone who, in a year as a board member, I haven't missed a board meeting. I really, I go to our events like the e-waste event we had over the weekend, not because I feel like just an obligation to as a board member, but because I really like supporting community along that theme of local neighborhood engagement and local politics, local government. I think is the best of what we have going right now. I wouldn't want to participate in any kind of federal stuff. I think this local stuff is the best. So, and as experience, I grew up in the neighborhood. I went to South High for 16 years. I've worked across the city of Denver in different roles, working for the council members in the mayor's office, public health and environment. And if I'm not elected, then you can count on seeing me here every month, because again, I have full confidence that what I'm hearing and seeing from other folks in the room too. So thank you.
Awesome. Next we have Catherine. Catherine, let me just set it up real quick so we can see you. Awesome. Hold on. Let me pin you. Oh, perfect. Okay, let me mute ourselves.
Okay, I don't really have a statement. I'm in the central time zone and I'm just flat out exhausted. So hopefully y'all will read the statement I made. I have lived in the neighborhood for since like 99. I just we moved in before the RTD light rail was in. So there was so much advocacy going on around the RTD light rail when we first moved into the neighborhood. And that really made me aware of the neighborhood association. And I am really grateful because there was a lot of advocacy and there has been so much advocacy over the years. I'm right by the pub on Pearl. The neighborhood association got really involved at one point when that pub got kind of out of control. Anyhow, now I'm older, my kids are grown. They went to South High, they went to Steele. I'm giving back. And the other thing I mentioned in my statement is that I have a job that entails diving into zoning codes. So I have like read through literally hundreds of them. I am volunteered and I chair the zoning committee. Zoning is kind of my passion, zoning and planning. So safety and transportation are also important to me, but I have more of a zoning bent. And so the presentation earlier tonight, I'm very excited about the urban housing. What is it called? I'm so tired. Anyhow, I hope you vote for me, but if you don't, that's fine. I'll continue to be involved. And someone else will have to be the board member on the zoning committee. So that would be lovely. Thank you. Sorry for rambling there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Catherine. We appreciate it. Sorry. Oh, my bad. Okay. I gotta pull up the presentation again. Give me one moment. Amazing. Sam. You probably knew you were next. You could have just come up here.
Is this good positioning, volume?
No.
No?
Too tall.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that's fine. I'm fine with that. You don't need to see my face. It's unimportant. My name is Sam Mortellaro. I am an actuary, and if you don't know what that is, that's probably for the best. It's very, very boring. I know. Yeah, there's a lot of math involved. That's why I had the weird question about voting. I grew up in the metro area down in Centennial. I went to CU Denver for my undergrad. I've lived in Denver proper since 2012, and my wife and I moved into this neighborhood in 2024. I really love living here. The things that I love about this neighborhood and the things I want to improve are a lot of the things we've been talking about here tonight. Access to transit, preserving mixed income housing, the nightlife on Broadway and all the small businesses that we have that are walkable from where we live. Yeah, so those are my priorities. I'm in favor of smart development that preserves the historic character of the neighborhood. And yeah, I love being in this community. And if you vote for me, I would be very happy to serve the community and be a part of this organization. So yeah. And just for a fun fact, my wife and I are really into birding, and I saw a bald eagle in Wash Park like 3 weeks ago. That was really exciting. So if you have bird questions, I'm always happy to make my wife answer them. She's way better than me with the birds.
Awesome, thank you. Amazing. Next we have Preston.
I am vertically privileged, so this might be difficult. Wow. Are you looking at me now? Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, cool. Hi, everyone. I'm Preston Ritter. My husband Dave, who is so photo friendly in the back. I have lived in Wash Park and loved Wash Park for the past 5 years. So I would really appreciate your consideration of me added to the board. In my work life, I'm a marketer, but I'm also a community builder, and I lead a team that really just works with our customers to make them feel special, make them feel heard, and really like try to build a community with our little ecosystem. And so I want to bring that energy to WWPNA. And so I kind of have three little priorities that I would love to do. I really resonate with what Will and Chelsea had to say, that, you know, when times are tough in the world, you always kind of look inward towards your community. And that's what is the core to my belief. And so I would love to really just like think of fun ways to engage our community. I always think of the really cool things like the recent e-waste recycling event at World Press, and also Fran, shout out to you. I know we have the neighborhood history and garden walk, and you know, grow upon some of those awesome ideas, but also bring some new ones like social activities and maybe even something cool like a taste of Wash Park, since we just voted on that one. But you know, also, you know, to Will's point, like continue to help building out the WIPNA community. Like I was very much inspired by Amy as well as our lovely president, Christina, to get involved. And so I would love to, you know, pay that forward. And then last but not least, you know, I think the big thing is, you know, how can we also help our small businesses, as you know, they are part of the spirit of Wash Park. And so how can we use them as central hubs for some of the great get-togethers and things of the sorts, but also, you know, work closely with them to, you know, do some sponsorships, events, you know, different initiatives to also help raise fundraising for WWPNA, because obviously a big topic of discussion is we need a little bit more money. So would love to use some of my business to business best practices to, you know, help WWPNA out. And, you know, I have a lot to learn. Can I go like a little longer? Cool. I have a lot to learn. I'm new to WWPNA, but, you know, there's a lot of smart people in this room, so I will always talk to you. But, you know, if I'm ever in doubt, I will always ground myself in the question, what would Mr. Rogers do? Thank you.
Awesome. Next, we have Bobby Sells.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bobby Sells. I've lived in the WWPNA neighborhood for 3.5 years now. I was a previous board member, working full-time and getting a dual master's degree. I'll be finishing up and graduating with Christina in 2-ish weeks. We're almost there. So I'm hoping to rejoin the board. Some of my priorities are, aside from what everybody else talked about, is making sure that our neighborhood isn't left behind, like it kind of feels like it is, or left out of the conversation. So for example, we have Alameda is a huge example. Then also the Broadway JID, for example, that includes our neighborhood, but for whatever reason, our RNO was the only one that was left out of the conversation and not involved with it. And then our name is West Wash Park Neighborhood Association, but you know, we also have the Spear neighborhood, and in the Spear neighborhood, there are other parks, such as Hungarian Freedom Park, which has zero programming, zero investment in the city. And I really just want to make sure that, you know, as much as we're relying on people reaching out to us, that we're reaching out to these other organizations and community groups. There's also our Student League of Denver in our neighborhood, which I don't think we've ever done anything with. We have a Denver Urban Garden with a whole quarter of a block that I don't think we've ever interacted with. So I think it'd be really great to get back involved and make sure that we're spreading the good word. Thank you.
Great. Thank you to all of our candidates that shared so far. So now there's also an option to run from the floor. So if anybody is interested in running, you can raise your hand and then give a speech, and then I'll confirm your membership and stuff offline.
Amy.
Okay. Oh, I would love for you to run. Unfortunately, you have to be 18, but we are, it is in the bylaws, but that could be a conversation. I think trying to open it up to kiddos and have you all be able to be more involved would be something I'd love to do. And so I will talk to the bylaw committee about how to maybe get some kid voices represented.
Yeah.
Really, thank you so much for sitting through this, both of you. I know it's kind of long. Awesome, great. So are there any questions? Great. So I know that today was a lot of information. Thank you all for sitting through it. Thank you all for being here. You can check out the candidate statements online at wipna.org/2026/candidates. I will be sending out an email unfortunately we met our email limit for this month, so May 5th, I will send out an email. Gotta talk to Robbie about fixing that. I will send out an email with election information when our email limit resets on May 5th. But again, you can submit your ballot today. I'm gonna give you a little box you can put it in. You can submit your ballot later by May 29th at 10 p.m. You can text or email me a picture, or you can drop it off at my house, or I will come and pick it up, or you can do it online. Awesome, someone already submitted it online. Amazing. But remember, you have to be a member by May 5th. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me, president@wpna.org, or you can text me. Which the other ways to vote, the digital ballot? Awesome, yeah, it's also on the back of the agenda. Yes.
Unrelated question.
Sure, unrelated question.
When and where is the next Wapton board meeting?
Yes, absolutely. So Wapton meets the first Tuesday of every month at 6:30 p.m. Right now, we're meeting at the Washington Street Community Center. And so that means on May 5th, the day before my birthday, we have a meeting that Tuesday from 6:30 to 8-ish. We have one guest speaker who will be talking about equity in Denver. And we'll have a more traditional meeting with committee updates, officer reports, what's going on with our budget, all that kind of stuff. But thank you all so much for being here. I'll stick around if you have any questions. And then the ballots can go up here or you can vote online. And yeah, thank you. Amazing.
Where's your treasure? I put.
Oh, yeah.
Members of one.
Let me take a picture of your form, and then,